Hello, welcome to Political Platform, and I am Okiria Agbonsuremi. You have the options to listen to us on any of the DA platforms of Raypower FM, Africa Independent Television, and the Political Platform on the YouTube channel. We have, for the up 10th time, the NNPC, as you hear, has signed a deal to revamp the Warri and Port Harcourt refineries. This new agreement is with two Chinese firms. The Port Harcourt refinery was shut down on May 24, 2025 for planned maintenance and a sustainability assessment, according to the NNPC. This closure occurred barely 6 months after the refinery resumed operations following a 1.5 billion rehabilitation project. I doubt anything good can come out from the refineries that is being proposed for Manjan, and just as what other people have also said, they have doubt over this new move by the NNPC. After decades, $1.5 billion for rehabilitating this project. Now, if there are doubts among citizens as to whether the federal government is capable of turning around the maintenance of our refineries based on what has been spent, then we are always we will continue to be in trouble. My colleagues are here as usual with me, Joe J.
Let me welcome our viewers and our listeners. That refinery thing, don't forget that the turnaround maintenance started from done etete, and we have
forever
TAM turnaround maintenance for decades,
including Tam David West, who was also once there.
Yeah, petroleum minister.
Yes, and I have Amici and Akwe on the program too.
Good morning to you.
Mustafa Mohammed, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Are we ever going to see the end to the turnaround maintenance? Now we are in the hands of the Chinese. There's nothing wrong. I don't have any problem with Chinese taking over all the contracts and everything.
If you see what Chinese have done in other countries, if you give them the opportunity, they can turn around and then we'll have another good refinery or some refineries that are working. But let me tell you something, Nigeria is not a serious country. For a very long time, we had these failing refineries. We sold them out to private entrepreneurs. Of course, this was revoked. And we would even have had other oil opportunities in Nigeria beyond the refineries, wonderful refineries of Dangote, the exploration of oil in Kogi, the discovery in Sokoto, the Kolmani in Bauchi-Gombe border, and of course that of Borno. Why are we restricting ourselves to oil projects? You put all your eggs in one basket and the basket falls and you broke everything. But the element of corruption is not far away from this maintenance failure. You sabotage the same thing. You want to do it again so that more money will come. It's just like the crisis.
Now, if you take a look at the figures, they are staggering. You want to go and sleep.
The past 15, 20 years?
Yeah, we've had over $20 billion. Please, just go. The money that I don't think
the amount that Dangote used in
exactly. I wanted to ask if Dangote had that kind of money to set up the entire place.
It was about the same.
Now let's look at the figure. Overall spending 2010 to 2020. The House of Representatives. This is a government agency, a government organ. One of the arms of government. Reported 11.535 trillion. That is $25 billion. Was spent on 3 refineries. That is between 2010 and 2020. Another committee put the total operational running. That is running the operations of those refineries that were not working at 4.8 trillion from 2010 to 2020, the same period. Now, Business Day reported that 10.3 billion was spent running the facilities from 2010 to 2020. Now, if you break down these figures, you just have headache. If you are an economist or somebody who really loves this country and you want to say this is these are refineries that are not working. I don't want to talk about the basis. We have analyzed this in the past years, how we even came about fixing some facilities in locations that we know will not work.
That's the headache former President Obasanjo is presently managing. He spoke recently about this because he foresaw the problems of NNPC a long time ago and tried to resolve it. But as soon as he left office, his successor rolled back what he did with the downstream, with the refineries, reversing the sale to Dangote and all that. Now everybody knows that NNPC cannot run these refineries, but because of interest, they will insist NNPC will turn these refineries around, rehabilitate
And when you say
them.
interest, why are you coloring it? Because of corruption.
Yes, interest.
Because corruption, interest is corruption.
The government empowers NNPC as this ATM, and they have refused to let NNPC go because of they always have a way of getting money directly or indirectly from it. Now look at LNG project, a beautiful setup. We have the multinationals owning 51% and Nigeria owning 49% of the equity. It's been run as a world-class organization, declaring billions of dollars in profit every year. That's where we remove those pecuniary interests and allow national interests to go. But they didn't want to do that with the refineries because of the interest. I'm trying to be civil here, but you hit the nail on the head, being corruption. They started with turnaround maintenance. They say, oh, it's Marubeni Corporation of Japan, the original builders. At some point, they brought these people from Italy. Everybody knew it would not work. Till the present GMD of GCO of NNPC Limited came. He said he was the first chief executive to admit that NNPC as an institution lacks the capacity to run this refinery. He said it's outside Nigeria. As soon as he came in, the same interest, the same corruption descended on him. But I give him the credit for pushing this deal through, or trying to push this deal through, because it's still subject to dotting the T's and crossing the I and regulatory approval.
If they discover that it's going to lead to what we want, they will probably...
Now, the deal is about not just completing, because we have been told it's been completed. Oh, mechanical completion, physical, technical. They will make sure that it is completed in full. Not just that, they will operate the refinery. Because if you complete and give it to NNPC, they will run it aground again. So part of this agreement says operate. But my concern here is, and my demand, those deals must be made public. It must be transparent. We need to carry out due diligence on the Chinese firm, where have they been involved in such business? Do they have their expertise already? So that and all that. And the terms and conditions must be clearly spelled out so that we locate our national interest and not public interest. Anytime a deal of this magnitude happens, you see pecuniary interest. That's the problem with our politicians. Exactly. They put down national interest down and put their own private business interest. So it's left for us to scrutinize these deals. That's why I'm insisting they must make the...
I wonder who are the us that he's talking about.
Well, all of us Nigerians. That's why most of us said Nigerians are not serious. But I do not think that's the case. I think that it's because we do not have the right people to manage the affairs of the country. Most times our elections have thrown up the most unwanted people. Our elections have thrown up people who lack capacity because they know how to play the murky politics of Nigeria. But let us believe that the Chinese, being very serious-minded people, would cause our people involved, in this deal, in actualizing this deal, to get serious and let us have results. I would like to believe that the Chinese would inject a sense of purpose and seriousness into this.
When you talk about Chinese being very serious people, Chinese come to Nigeria, they go to Ghana, they go to anywhere, they play with the environment. If they meet corruption, they will fit into that corruption.
But they will get the job done. And
they are so tolerant of corruption.
They will fit into whatever bed you lay for them. They will lie and sleep very well.
Exactly.
So it is for us to pray that with their technology, with the kind of anti-corruption that exists in China, that when they come here, we don't have people. Remember the Halliburton? You remember the Halliburton? You remember the Siemens? You remember all those companies that came here during the Obasanjo administration, corrupted everybody? They were punished back home. But here, those who collected the money were never
not
punished.
punished.
Very free.
It's a matter of really the media, the CSOs, and all those who are interested in helping Nigeria to continue to shape itself to do exactly
Let's
what
also
they have got
hope
to
that on our own side, our government will bring out people who have a conscience, people who know this work, the experts, who know this job, to collaborate with the Chinese and not just anybody or their cronies.
All right, let's take our second issue talking point this morning on the program, and that is on the Senate. Yesterday, we were supposed to take the issue, but unfortunately, we couldn't because the guests we were expecting didn't come, as we also do not expect that he will join us this morning. But subsequently, we hope that we can get somebody from the Senate to join us. But let's talk about it. Based on perception and analysis by Nigerians flowing from everybody, the political landscape in 2026, the Senate is often labeled. Everybody is familiar with the term rubber stamp now, due to its closeness, collaborative relationship with the executive arm of government, which critics argue undermines its constitutional duty of checks and balances. We told you we were supposed to have a guest yesterday, but the Senate is dominated by the APC members, no doubt about that. The leadership insists on what they call harmonious relationship with the executive. They say they don't want to fight the executive. They want to concentrate on development. We also have rapid approvals of requests from the president. They say despite the fact that it is rapid, they do their due diligence. That is their, but the public don't see them that way doing their due diligence. Because sometimes we don't even hear the thing is going to the Senate. We just hear that it has been approved. And there are concerns of the budget proposals if they are well scrutinized. We do not know how much scrutinization goes. It goes to both houses, whether the Senate or the House of Representatives. And as of 2025, reports indicated that over 146 bills passed by the House of Representatives were still awaiting concurrent, or they were just simply ignored by the Senate. And they addressed the press recently, came up to say, look, what is the Senate doing to the bills we have worked on? It's like the speed of the House of Representatives is faster than that of the Senate. Now, in the Senate, really, can we say the Akpabio-led Senate is a rubber stamp Senate?
People have cause to be worried because the way certain things are done, and you mentioned the most glaring one, the seeming lack of transparency in their activities. Gone are the days when, even as correspondents, you knew whatever was going on within the Senate or the House of Representatives. These days, journalists are not even taken along to some of their oversight functions. Journalists are shut out of so many things. And when they come to the chambers proper, it's closed-door meetings. The public hardly knows what is going on before they come up with the total. Look at the electoral law, for instance. Ireti Kingibe is still crying till tomorrow that it was not what was passed on the floor of the Senate that was put out eventually. And nobody is saying anything even about that from the Senate. They said the laws have been, the agreements, the decisions were tampered with, and what came out as the final document is not it. And we have so many other things that people are complaining about. Look at like the budget you talked about now. Remember in those days,
you have a lot of work from one committee to the other, running around.
You have about 89 committees, and you knew what was going on with each of the committees. Is it the same now?
I sometimes look at the quality of the people the various parts of Nigeria sent to the National Assembly.
You are looking at the quality of the human beings.
Yes. It's not just the representation of having 109 senators out there. What are the qualities? Various former governors, for example, who have underdeveloped their state, looted the treasury. Their names are in the EFCC and several other petitions. Or you are looking at those, some of them who are benchwarmers, even in the House of Representatives. They ended up finding themselves in the Senate. If you look at the statistics of how many bills were passed as a result of how many people in the Senate, I can tell you that you will be disappointed. I was a reporter in the House of Representatives and the Senate some 2 decades ago, and I can tell you that we had senators and the House of Reps members who you can refer to best as bench warmers. And then during electioneering campaign period, they go back to their constituencies and senatorial districts. Same people are elected back. And in many places now, governors who are not able to change the fortunes of their state are the ones trying to hijack the seats and come back to the Senate. For
tell the country what to do.
The issue of quality is a very important, it's fundamental. It is not just in the National Assembly. We have had like 3 companies. I watched a clip yesterday of Femi Adeosu, a former Minister of Finance, and the complaints around, including that from Dangote. And the latest one was, is it Money Point, that said they have vacancies. They don't have Nigerians to fill the vacancies.
Qualified enough.
They don't have the competencies of Nigerians who can fill the vacancies, because our school system is completely off. Now, if we have practiced democracy since 1999, one would have expected that, for goodness sake, there's some background that we can rely on. If these issues have been debated in 1999, 2002, 2003, we can say they were just learning. But should we be learning at this time?
Well, not necessarily about quality, because if you look at those at the Senate, they were present even during the 1999, the first National Assembly. Some of them were in the House and all that. Some of them have played prominent roles in our polity. So in terms of quality, I can say they have it. I see it more as issue of perception, understanding, and attitude. The attitude, they don't seem to understand the role of the legislature. Now, if you get in there, there are many interests that play up: your personal interest, your constituency interest, your party interest, and national interest. They have taken national interest, which is pivotal, and thrown it to the dogs. So what they do mostly in the National Assembly,
constituency interest in most cases,
yes,
is wrong. Their own personal interest.
For their constituency project, they will say, let's do this. So they say, but it's more of party interest now that they do. Oh, our party must remain. It's not that you don't do it elsewhere, but there's a limit to which you can pursue party interest. Wherever it comes into contact with national interest, national interest predominates. They fail to understand that the way our democracy is modeled, the National Assembly, the Parliament must be in conflict, positive conflict with the executive.
No, that's what they want to, which they have completely.
You tell me you're not here to fight the president. I tell you, you don't know the reason why you were put in there. It's designed, there's this thesis, antithesis, synthesis thing. This struggle of opposites. When opposites struggle, the outcome is always a better order. You have day and night. They're opposites. This is what gives life to the earth. You have everything in this world is about opposite. You have male and female. When they meet, they give you something superior in terms of an offspring and all that. So it is designed that the parliament should conflict with, maybe the word I'm using here is conflict.
At least check them.
Oppose and check them. Yes. Because human beings we are not perfect. The president cannot be perfect.
As it is
you're there to help the executive by oversighting them. Oh, you've gone beyond this. You've done this. You didn't look at it from this perception. That is what we expected them to do. And in so doing, the designers of our plural democracy presidential system, it has the idea that the outcome will be good for the entire nation, but they think it's a party meeting. But then it's not a party, that's going on there.
If you take a look, because of its very structure and constitutional role, the Senate does more of the job appointments, approval of appointments, and a lot of other approvals than the House of Rep. If you take a look at some of the things that happened, you will agree that you'll be tempted to agree that, look, it does appear something is wrong somewhere. Anything the president gives, they want to borrow money, the president just going to hear that they have approved it. They send appointment to do, nobody scrutinizes it, they have approved it. In fact, it's only a few voices that it sees that let us just manage to ask questions.
The Fiscal Responsibility Act says before you approve any loan, you must first ascertain and find out that the loan is for capital projects. 2, the capital project you're doing it, does it have the capacity to regenerate itself to pay for it?
Yes.
Now, the amount of loan we have taken, is it up to 2.5% of our GDP and all that? It's clearly written, but the National Assembly will not even ask for these details.
That's why when
if the president sends it by 10 a.m., by 1 p.m. they have approved it.
And beyond that,
the kind of National Assembly will have.
Connivance or collaboration?
I think I would prefer the word connivance. Connivance is a lot more appropriate at this. If you talk of collaborative, you are looking at positively looking at the issues. You can't want to ask the president, do we need this loan? Can we do some other thing? At least let the committee even take a look at it. Let there be, for goodness, it's our money.
And the project that
they are borrowing it for us. Somebody did the calculation the other day and appropriated monies that we are owing individually to everybody. How much did they say it is?
It's about 700,000.
Each person, each Nigeria is owing, whether you are at home or abroad, you are owing.
Sadly, this is it. Beyond that, the National Assembly has not looked into budget implementation, releases of monies for capital budgets for contractors. That's why you have contractors all over Abuja protesting for the first time, demonstrating at the finance ministry, at the National Assembly. Wale Edun, who was fired by the president recently, was there, not telling anybody why monies were not being released. The National Assembly.
Is he fired or they say he resigned?
Okay, gentlemen, let's take a break. Let's take a break quickly, and when we come back, we'll be going to the Independent National. We'll be going to the Independent National Electoral Commission to meet with Joas Amopitan, the chairman. He says insecurity is a threat to the forthcoming elections. Is this the first time we are having insecurity being a threat? If insecurity is a threat, what have we done over these years? I mean, now we know that insecurity is a threat. What are we going to do? But let's listen to Amopitan.
Elections are crucial milestones in Nigerian democratic journey, and it is imperative that they are conducted peacefully and seamless. Nigeria, our electoral system, faces numerous challenges over the years, ranging from malpractices to the threat of violence, vote trading, undermine the confidence of these challenges not only affect the outcome of our elections, but also pose significant risks to our national security. Thus, it is imperative that we address these concerns with utmost seriousness. The field of insecurity across the various parts of the threats under ensure that we carry out thorough security risk analysis ahead of the election. This will help us identify potential flashpoints and deploy appropriate strategies to mitigate risks, thereby safeguarding voters, electors, and the integrity of the electoral.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT on air, online, live.
Thank you so much for remaining with us. We heard Amopitan there just before that break saying that they need to prepare well, and not just preparing well, they want all Nigerians to participate at the elections. And if insecurity prevents Nigerians, some Nigerians from participating, will not be doing them well.
I am actually disappointed in him. This insecurity been there since 2014.
Why will you be disappointed in a man who says, I want to conduct the election and...
How many states do we have, Mr. Okhiri? How many states do we have? Those serious insecurity issues are in Zamfara, Katsina, Borno, and part of Yobe. Just remove these 4 states. Yet in the past few elections have been taking place in all these states.
With huge figures coming out.
So what we are saying is that, is he giving us an excuse that issues in these 4 states will disrupt election in all the states of the country? The security agents are doing very well. We have lost so many of them, sadly, trying to bring peace to the country. The Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, despite the logistical challenge. Let the security agents do their work, and the INEC chairman should make sure he does his job. Issues like late arrival of electoral materials, inadequate logistics and what have you.
Malfunctioning of the systems.
So many issues.
Now, if you take a look at his complaint, I don't want to think that he is saying it just he just wants to divert our attentions. I think he wants to draw attention to the dangers that are ahead.
Absolutely.
Because we have, how many people do we have in IDP camp now? I know, Mustafa Mohammed, you know that the number of people who are in IDP camp away from their communities where they register is too much. We have not been able to resolve.
In Borno, for example, the governor has resettled, constructed.
We have IDP camps all over Nigeria. All over Nigeria, we have IDP.
You know, the problem with the dilemma of INEC, not the problem, the dilemma of INEC chairman is that based on the Electoral Act, he's supposed to be the overall in terms of security operation. That's for the Electoral Act. But for the act establishing the military, the Armed Forces Act, the Police Act, they will not take instructions from him. So there's a contradiction as to, can he on election day direct security agencies? On paper he can, but in practice he cannot. So he's not a problem. I think he's trying to foresee a problem. It's been a huge one, for a big challenge for INEC. He doesn't have control of security in practical terms. There were areas in Anambra State, my state, in 2023 where INEC did not deploy men and material for election.
I do not think that
what he's saying is real. In my place, there are 2 local government areas where elections did not hold. So what he's doing is ringing the alarm bell to say, come to my aid. We have seen elections in the past shifted because of insecurity. So perhaps he's saying, I don't want this to happen. Let me raise the issue
if that happened, it would not be because INEC is not able to deploy, because for every election, security personnel are deployed by the different arms of security in this country. Even the military deploys, police deploys, NSCDC deploys. So we have adequate people. It would be a question of the people who were deployed not manning their posts.
That's what are they doing after the
responsibility when they should, because they ought to be there. They ought to be able to police, to guard, to protect every aspect of the electoral process. And they are there. It's budgeted. They are equipped. They are highly mobilized to do these things. So,
okay.
And again, one thing I want to point out, you know that having raised some issues against the INEC chairman in the last 1 month, Nigerians may not be so willing to believe whatever he says now, because he has credibility issues, which have seemingly been swept under the carpet. I think that he needs to tackle that credibility issue, or anything he says from now on. Forget about the press conference by INEC. It doesn't hold water much.
You know why what you are saying is very weighty? Yeah. It is because even as we are thinking now, many people will just say he's preparing ground to rig elections, because in Yobe in 2011, when there was a bomb blast on the day of election, the results that came out from that place was staggering. So, but let's tell you that we have a guest today on the program who will come in shortly. Activist and politician Omoyele Sowore is our guest on the program this morning. He will be joining us very, very shortly. There is founder and leader of one of Nigeria's political parties. He's not just an activist. the African Action Congress, AAC, has him as the chairman, and the party
and the presidential candidates in the elections.
We don't know yet.
In the
But he will tell us when he comes.
What do we say about politicians who talks by them, we give them daggers, and Nkalare, Sarah, Suka, Ekomo, mention them, the godfathers of some of these politicians, former governors, president governors, Endaba, we have them all over. So is it only bandits and kidnappers and Boko Haram?
No. It is not just, look, let me tell you, when we talk about security, I don't believe he was just talking about Katsina. What about in Plateau? What about
in Imo, in Anambra?
What about in Benue? We have we have what we call local
insecurity.
Yes, amongst ourselves.
So they can be contained.
Yeah, we need to support him. I must tell you, he has raised an alarm, and we must also help him amplify it. But it should not be used as an excuse to fail in the election that is coming. And we also continue to emphasize that.
I'm sure when the police comes here now, or NSDC, they will tell you, what is he saying? We have always provided security.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back from the break, Omoyele Sowore will be joining us on the program. We'll come back shortly as we now take a break for our guests to step in.
As they bring the multitude, the political figure, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy. Governments seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go.
Every part of this country is important. The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the election has been peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the President.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
GTBT, whatever.
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Thank you for staying with us, and we are still on political platform. We have Omoyele Sowore right in the house. My very good friend, we knew ourselves long ago in the Civil Liberties Organization. He was also a student union activist, and he founded the African Action Congress. But that role in that political party is usually largely overshadowed by his activism, because his party is also founded on what you can call activism. They emphasize anti-corruption, social justice, and transformative leadership. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, and good morning to the panelists.
Just before we go, my colleague here has said you are the chairman and you are going to be the presidential candidate. Are you contesting this election?
Well,
he had been in the past.
No, the chairman of a political party is a person chosen by the political party to lead the political party.
Yes.
The presidential candidate of a political party becomes the presidential candidate after the party primaries, and then he steps down as the chairman. So I know you make a bone about that because they haven't been able to hijack our party, and you guys are not happy about it. But the party was actually hijacked for 3 years. Between 2019 and 2022.
That was when there were a lot of dispute as to who is...
It wasn't a dispute. Yeah. It was because the party's candidate nearly won the the governorship election in Rivers State against Wike. And Wike, of course, used his connections and powers in the judiciary to kick everybody out because we refused to go with him in his desire to reverse the results. That was what happened.
That's a strong allegation.
It's not a strong allegation. The judge who even assisted him was suspended is still in suspension. Justice Ekwa, of the Federal High Court.
Now let's talk about the AAC as a political party.
Yes.
Let's talk about politics.
Yes.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, actually having 23 political parties, now about 22 political parties.
About 22, we used to be 18, it's added about 3. Yeah, 21 or 22,
now,
yes.
Is AAC playing politics? Is he really doing politics? Because it is difficult to separate your activism from the party role that AAC should be playing. What is AAC doing?
AAC is clearly not into the kind of politics you are used to. Our politics is more of a revolutionary politics. We are not politicians who go on break after every election season. We stay with you, fight for the manifesto of the party dictate. The narrative about how Nigeria is on a daily basis. But what you call it now, go and collect form, pay a huge amount of money, find a political party that is vacant to put them, and then they put a lot of money into the system. They are rigged into office most of the time. That's what you call politics. To us, that is not politics. That's criminality.
Because of your activism, you work with a lot of young people.
Yes.
The tendency is for people to believe that that perception is there that you are a youth mobilizer and your party is actually peopled by the people who are young. Are the young people in this politics?
No, young people are in politics, but young people don't like what we call politics. We must admit that. A lot of them still don't understand that politicians determine even the quality of the air they breathe. They are distanced from it. And sadly, most young people in Nigeria lack ambition. It's not an indictment. They're not ambitious. They don't wake up in the morning thinking I can be president of Nigeria.
Don't you think it's
they want to be? It is, but it's also structures like, look, I'm listening to your panel talk about, someone who want to hire 500 people and can't find it in Nigeria. And all of us are upset with him, the money point guy. But the truth is that it is difficult to find people who can fill those roles because the educational system in Nigeria has been destroyed over time. So the only people who can fill those roles have left the country to go and get proper education. When they get what we call proper education, they don't come back here because there's low pay. A doctor who has been to London to go to school for 5 years to become a doctor and has borrowed money or has spent over 100,000 euros is not coming back to come and be fighting you for 500,000 naira
per month.
Most doctors don't get that amount. That's if they pay you. So that's the problem. Locally, this was exactly the result they wanted to achieve when they started around 1978. Obasanjo to say, look, education should not be free. Don't give students the kind of education they deserve. And over time, they reduced the educational system to a point that even the military administrator became the VC of ABU, that was Kotangora. They knew what they were doing. This is the result they want to achieve. People who don't understand that their life depends on politics. And then, if you look at it, I give you a small example. If you go to the United Nations General Assembly, the countries that sent the highest number of delegates to those countries are the poorest countries. Nigeria sent 600 people at a time. But if you go to the country where it is happening itself,
yes,
the US, is the US president and 5 people.
So
also the United Nations General Assembly. They get their best quality people, and if you find the room when the thing is going on, our delegates are sleeping.
These young people that you're fighting for, is always going to be a difficult time, and has to make them realize you're fighting for them and for them to join the struggle. You see, they easily pander to this system that you're trying to change.
Yes.
How do you feel about it? They seem not to be connected with your struggle and vision.
One of the biggest problems we have, even in analyzing young people participation in politics, is that we just assume that because people are young, that they know what they are doing politically. It's a demographic. It's not a political party. Young people. So, why am I telling you that? Is that there are young people today, very young. They dress smart. They put in front of their names ambassador or honorable when they have never won anything, or they are not ambassador of any even plenipotentiary. But they believe that they can be somebody without doing anything about becoming somebody.
Now,
whereas the old people that we always criticize are strategic enough to hold on to the particular positions and political influence and the financial powers that continue to dominate the young people.
So what are you doing? Since you will realize this is the challenge that even some of them don't even know.
No, what I do is a difficult job. I'm out there being a teacher. I'm out there being a father to some of them, because a lot of these young people also are the ones who are taking care of their parents, which used to be the other way around. I'm out there also being someone who is struggling to free them both from physical encumbrances and also mental slavery. And that's the most difficult one, because it's the most difficult person to wake up in the world is a person who is pretending to be asleep.
That's what
and a lot of our young people are like that.
Some have said that part of the problem of our youths today is that they do not know about leaders who have made sacrifices for the country, leaders who were well-intentioned. You talk about the 60s, early 70s, and they have grown up in a generation where you have corrupt leaders, people who do not have noble examples to show them. How do we get around letting them know the real values of our society?
Well, the people who destroyed education to the point that they removed history as a subject for years knew what they were doing. That is where you could have learned about who was good or bad. But also then, don't forget that the history author is the one who decides who is the best subject in history. We were all growing up, and all of you can testify to it in social studies. The guys they said were the best in this country, when we got to university, we had to fight them. But in the history book, social studies,
they were told us that
they said this person was the best guy. But when our eyes opened, and we had to open our eyes ourselves, we discovered that they added nothing. But if you go to this Abuja, every time your Google map is turning you around, who are the streets named after? The people who stole your future. You know, who are the hospitals named after? The guys who make sure that you don't have medicine in the pharmacy. Who are your universities named after? The guys who send their children to go to school abroad, stealing the money meant for your own education. Recently, the son of the president of Nigeria was celebrating that he graduated from a UK university. President of Nigeria, not of yesterday, we're talking about Tinubu's son. There's no way Trump, as powerful or as rich as he is, can go and say that the best university in the world to send his children is in the UK. So, or if he's sick, that you take him out of the US to go and seek treatment. They would rather bring the hospital.
But these are some of the things that the AAC and other activists who may not even be in political parties. These are some of the things we are talking about changing. And my colleague had asked the question.
Yes.
We need to take this thing to the average, the percentage of young people in Nigeria, it shoots above the 50%. Those people who are young, who can actually decide who wins the elections.
Yes.
Yet these young people are people who pander, who are easily manipulated, who are given guns, who are given food to eat, who are given a lot of things, and yet we are saying that they are the ones that. How do we get about making them understand that 2027 is coming? We have the power block. We can go ahead and take a decision for the leader that we think can help this country.
Well, this is a very important thing you just mentioned. But you mentioned gun. Gun is not the most dangerous weapon in the hands of young people. The most dangerous weapon is ignorance. And that one will kill faster than any. A lot of the young people are also active politically. But ask yourself, who do they support during election?
Let's
come to. They will praise to high heavens the people who did nothing and claim that they are the best because they are ignorant. And it's not the kind of ignorance that you can cure immediately.
Let's come to contemporary political development. Yes. You mentioned 2007 and the elections that will be coming up. I know you've been critical of the major gladiators.
Yes.
Some will say, perhaps you have a reason for being angry with them. Coalitions being formed, coalition being split, ruling party accused of hijacking the system and trying to use state institutions to manipulate the election. What are your thoughts?
See, the reason why I'm different in analyzing these coalitions and is that I don't want to be part of those people who will replace a set of bad people with another set of bad people. What I'm saying to you is that look at their records. If somebody says he's in a coalition that will change Nigeria, and you have been governor for 8 years, and I cannot go and spend vacation in your state, you yourself, you can't leave the state the night your predecessor is taken over. You don't come back there. You cannot.
Some of them even go to the US. Your former governor,
you can't convince me.
Your former governor, Amechi, where is he?
He returned to the US. He was living.
Amechi lives in the US. Obiano lives in the UK. Atiku lives in Dubai. You know, they live in countries that are built by other people. In fact, countries that are built by young people with ideas and ideals. So, but that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that these people intentionally are deceiving you that they have coalition. If the ADC did not fall apart 3 days ago, they blindfolded everybody and said, we are in a coalition. You know, we want to take over power.
Were you expecting that collapse?
Oh, I predicted it a long time ago. I know there wasn't a coalition. These are just a bunch of desperate politicians.
Now,
who went and rent, ADC. And like I usually joke about them, they paid the landlord and forgot to pay the agent. And now they found themselves, and now they have moved to another rental apartment in NDC. That's some of them. The other ones remained in ADC. It's about grabbing power. It has nothing to do with service. We should be talking about service. And I want to make an important contribution here. You all have a duty as well, media, to tell the stories as they should. Make sure that you also go out of your way to talk about people who belong to the critical mass. Because at the end of the day, all of us are going to suffer the consequences of bad governance.
I have to.
No, he has a question.
Hold on. I was also thinking something so that we can trash the AC. I know Uju will want to ask about the women in your.
I'm not really that inclined because the women too have their own problems. They would rather be cheerleaders than make efforts to be at the forefront. And the efforts that they have made so far, the men have also frustrated. It's kind of complicated, but I know that the women will break through eventually. By the time we have those who have the heart to come out, like the Namibian woman, and they'll be able to break.
Do we have a room for them
Absolutely. But what Uju has said is true. You can open up all you want for women. If they don't come, you can't go and force them out of, But what I tell women is this: Look at it scientifically. Women live longer than men. So it's their world. So they better lead it.
Now, we have seen how the youth in the Southeast, the Southwest came out massively as obedient for Peter Obi in the last election.
Yeah.
You are also talking about youth. What's the difference between what you are preaching that the youth didn't come out during election massively for you? Is there a disconnect?
There wasn't a disconnect. I have mentioned the weaponization of ignorance. The youths that came out who called themselves obedient in 2022, 2020, they are all regretting. And that's what I told them. I was the only person who came out at that time and said, this is complete misdirection of your priorities, your energy, and your intellect. If you do have, Obi wasn't going to take you anywhere. The ride was for Obi to go round. And when the point to break out or to break away from the system came, Obi showed to you that he belonged to the system.
Now why?
Because what would have happened? Let me finish. Yeah. What would have happened in 2023 was that those young people, not all of them, some of them are experts at subterfuge. Some young people genuinely believe that Obi could lead them, to political liberation. And we warn them that somebody who is part of the old system cannot fight the system. Now, everybody's coming out and say, Obi lied to us. Even this loudmouth, what's it called? Kenneth Okonkwo, the movie star. Yesterday was all over the place saying, Obi refused to take the lead when it was most important. His vice president, Adati Ahmed, came out and said, we thought we won the election, but we needed political move. Obi disappeared on us. I wouldn't have done that if those young people voted for you.
Do you think this election is for the APC to take? Do you have confidence in INEC to deliver credible election?
Everybody sits down here shouting about INEC. What do you think INEC is designed for? INEC is a government agency. Everybody working in INEC.
That's not what the law says.
No, everybody working in INEC naturally and
because we have had an INEC that did an election.
Everybody working in INEC, 90% of them are civil servants.
Yes.
Those appointments were made by the current president until you get to a point where you can honestly say that everybody working in INEC has no affiliation.
So your answer is yes, that it is for the current.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that INEC's job is to help the president who appointed them to win election. But the Nigerian people can take a different direction. You and I were around in 1993, even though we didn't support Babangida's transition program. But the people came out and said, this is our candidate and this is who we wanted. This is who we want. And the person won. You can do that. You can help INEC elect your own representatives. There's a room for that. But it has to be massive and it has to be conscious. But to expect that INEC, as it is presently constituted, forget if it is a Mukpito or another person.
Okay.
They have thousands of people.
All right.
They have thousands of Mukpitans.
We really have to go now. Our time is up.
We're always in a hurry when we are speaking the truth.
We are really sorry. We have to go. We actually think that something would have we have 1 hour. We'll talk with Showori and it will not end.
Yes.
We will have a lot to if it's possible to continue to go on, we would have done. But just the last question.
Yes.
Are you contesting this election?
I'm going to go to my party's primaries.
All right. And he doesn't want to answer straight.
So you're a presidential aspirant?
Yes, I'm aspiring.
Inside of the political party.
All right, let's go. I'm sorry, our time is actually really up. We have to go now. Political platform. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, and I have Uju Amechi Anakwe, and Mustafa Mohammed on the top. And we are very grateful to have had Omoyele Showore. Everybody knows he. We pray that he's able to come to us anytime we want him on this program. Thank you so much for joining us, and we want to ask you to stay away from trouble.
Too late now.
Thank you.